I know they're going back and forth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd wants to make some money.
It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story in my opinion.
Mike Tyson said that the fight between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou might not be the most fair or sensible one, but it would still grab a lot of attention and make tons of money. He said people are curious to see who would win, and that makes the fight fun to watch. Tyson also thinks that because no one can guess what might happen, fans from both boxing and MMA would be super excited to see it.
I know you're such a big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea. You know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffa, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, not being conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. But once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak spot.
Francis Ngannou himself says that even offering him a fight with Jake Paul is a total insult to his name and legacy. He explains that Jake hasn't done enough to deserve standing in the same ring as someone who's been one of the best in combat sports. Ngannou also adds that this kind of offer isn't just rude, it also shows how much today's entertainment has moved away from real fighting.
Think about you to fight Jake to replace Javante. I'm like, who's Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my...
Chael Sonnen reacts to Jake Paul maybe fighting Francis Ngannou with both laughter and curiosity. He says this fight would be interesting, not because it would be close, but because it would show how tough Jake really is. Sonnen jokes that Tyson Fury, one of the strongest heavyweight champions ever, was knocked down by just one clean punch from Ngannou. If Fury, who is bigger than Jake and has years of boxing experience, could barely handle Ngannou's power, then Jake might be in real trouble. Sonnen says Jake's confidence and his habit of challenging fighters way above his level is fun to watch. But fighting someone like Francis is a totally different thing. He points out that Jake doesn't have Tyson Fury's size, strength, or chin. And if Fury could only take one punch, it's hard to believe Jake could even take that much.
Offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to fight Jake? Jake who? I said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they're both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back, I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you start with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. I mean, what's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time like that.
Francis Ngannou is not only heavier, but also way stronger than anyone Jake Paul has ever fought. While Gervonta Davis is a lightweight fighter known for his quick speed and timing, Ngannou is a heavyweight who relies on pure strength and knockout power. Experts say that if Jake really wants to fight Francis, he has to completely rebuild his training camp. This means not just building more muscle, but also getting his body ready to take punches from a man who weighs over 260 pounds. Jake would have to change everything: his footwork, endurance training, and sparring sessions. Fighting a lightweight needs fast reflexes and quick movement, but fighting a heavyweight like Ngannou needs toughness, balance, and raw strength. Experts warn that Jake can't treat this like just another influencer boxing match. He would need months of serious training with the best boxing coaches.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it makes no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else, not just the fight style's different.
Boxing expert and former champion Tim Bradley says that canceling the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight hurt more people than just the two fighters. According to Bradley, promoters, TV networks, event planners, and sponsors all lost money because the deal ended so suddenly. The fight was supposed to make millions from pay-per-view sales and brand deals. Bradley explains that Tank's legal troubles and ongoing controversies made networks and sponsors pull out, as they didn't want their brands to look bad. Everyone involved had already spent money on ads, event setup, and logistics, and now all that cash is gone. Bradley says this shows how risky the boxing business really is. When a fighter's reputation gets damaged, everyone who invested in the event ends up losing too. Look, Tank, let's talk about Tank for a second.
Be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all, you know. But I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions. Yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. You know, I heard through the grapevine the joint wasn't even selling. Yeah, because everybody's tired of your bull crap, Jake Paul.